It was just after dawn on a crisp November morning in 2019 when the police arrived at the small suburban home on Elm Street in a quiet town just outside Columbus, Ohio. Neighbors had called worried. No lights on all night, mail piling up, and a faint but strange odor drifting through the air. What greeted officers was a chilling scene that would haunt the town for years to come. Inside the modest two-story house, the entire Miller family was gone. Not just missing, gone. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, nothing stolen. Just empty rooms, dinner plates still set on the table, and the family's dog, whimpering in a corner, hungry and alone. The Millers weren't wealthy or famous. Tom Miller, 42, worked as an IT technician at a local hospital. His wife, Lisa, 39, was a school counselor. Their two children, 10-year-old Emily and 7-year-old Jake, attended the neighborhood elementary school. Everyone knew them as kind, reserved, typical Americans trying to build a simple life. But now the house whispered a darker story. From the outside, Elm Street was picture perfect. Manicured lawns, kids riding bikes, neighbors chatting over fences. The Millers blended in seamlessly. But beneath that calm surface, investigators would soon uncover layers of secrets, strange behaviors, and unexplained incidents that suggested something was terribly wrong long before the family vanished. Initial forensic searches found no signs of forced entry. The front door was locked, windows intact. The family's cars were parked in the driveway. Phones, wallets, even Tom's laptop remained untouched. The dinner table had plates with uneaten food, spaghetti with meat sauce, Emily's favorite. What made the scene most unsettling was what was missing. No blood, no weapon, no sign of violence, no note, no indication of where the Millers had gone or why. But the house was filled with silence, a suffocating silence that felt wrong, unnatural. As detectives combed through the Millers' digital lives, a strange pattern emerged. Tom's last known activity was a routine work login the night before their disappearance. Lisa's phone showed several unanswered calls from a blocked number. The kids' school records were spotless. No complaints, no absences, no signs of distress. Yet neighbors described odd happenings. A few recalled late-night visitors, strangers who would knock quietly and then leave abruptly. Others noticed Lisa seemed withdrawn in recent weeks, Tom more tense. One neighbor even reported hearing muffled cries late at night but dismissed it as nothing. The police interviewed friends and colleagues. No one had a clear explanation. Some said Tom had mentioned work stress, but nothing severe. Lisa's friends noted she was worried about something she couldn't say. The children were described as happy and playful days before. No one saw enemies, no financial troubles, no reason for the family to vanish. Then the investigation took a disturbing turn. A search of Tom's laptop revealed encrypted files. After weeks of painstaking work, experts unlocked fragments of emails and chats between Tom and an unknown contact. The messages hinted at a clandestine operation, mentions of data transfer, risk, and exposure. But what kind of operation? And why was Tom involved? Further digging uncovered that Tom had been quietly investigating suspicious activity at the hospital. Unauthorized access to patient records, strange IT glitches that seemed deliberate. His messages suggested he was close to uncovering something dangerous, something that might put him in harm's way. Meanwhile, Lisa's phone revealed an anonymous message she had received a week before their disappearance. It read simply, "Stop digging, or you'll disappear too." The investigators now suspected the family had become targets. But targets of what? The most confounding piece came from inside the house itself. In the basement, a hidden room was discovered behind a false wall. Inside, investigators found surveillance equipment monitors, cameras, recording devices, all focused on the family's daily routines. Notes scribbled in Lisa's handwriting described unseen eyes watching them, a presence in the house. Had they been under surveillance? By whom? And why? A few days later, a breakthrough seemed to come when a local man, Harold Jenkins, was arrested for unrelated fraud. During questioning, he mentioned he'd seen suspicious individuals near the Miller home in the weeks before the disappearance. People who didn't live in the neighborhood. Jenkins became an early suspect, but his alibi for the night of the disappearance was solid. The police released him but kept him under watch. Conflicting clues piled up. A car spotted near Elm Street that night matched a vehicle registered to a private security firm. The firm denied any involvement and claimed their driver was elsewhere. A discarded phone found in a nearby river had text messages pointing to a black market data ring, but no direct link to the Millers. Then came the most puzzling discovery. Forensic analysis found traces of a rare, odorless chemical on the kitchen counter, a substance used in industrial cleaning but also known to cause unconsciousness in high doses. But no one was found unconscious or alive. What if the Millers had been drugged, taken, or worse? Weeks turned into months. The family was officially declared missing, presumed dead, but without a body, no confession, no proof. The town was gripped by fear and unanswered questions. Who could commit such a crime so quietly? What secrets were buried with the Millers? Then, one quiet night, a package arrived at the police station. No sender. Inside was a single USB drive. When the lead detective played the files, a grainy video began to unfold. The Millers inside their home, alive but terrified. The camera panned to shadowy figures lurking outside, voices whispering threats. Then the screen went dark. The message was clear. They were still alive, but trapped. The case reopened with new urgency, but as investigators pushed deeper, they found themselves ensnared in a web of corporate espionage, blackmail, and surveillance that reached far beyond Elm Street. The truth was darker than anyone imagined, and more terrifyingly silent. But before the Millers' fate could be uncovered, the trail went cold once more. Files were deleted, witnesses silenced, and the USB vanished. The town returned to its uneasy calm, but the question lingered. Who killed the Millers? And why did they do it so quietly, without a trace? The grainy video on the USB was the first true glimpse into the terror lurking behind the Miller family's disappearance. For the first time, investigators saw not just empty rooms but fear etched into every frame. Lisa's whispered prayers, Tom's hurried pacing, Emily clutching her brother's hand, and those shadowy figures outside watching, waiting. But the video raised more questions than answers. Who were those figures? Why were they stalking an ordinary family? Detective Sarah Caldwell, lead investigator on the case, couldn't shake the feeling that Elm Street was only the tip of a vast, unseen iceberg. She and her team began tracing every connection: hospital IT logs, Lisa's counseling notes, neighborhood surveillance cameras. What they found was chilling. At the hospital, Tom had access files flagged for security breaches, patient data linked to pharmaceutical trials, confidential internal reports, and payments traced to shell companies with no public record. One name kept appearing: Blackwood Enterprises, a shadowy biotech firm rumored to be involved in illegal human experimentation and data manipulation. The company denied all allegations and maintained strict confidentiality. Meanwhile, Lisa's counseling files revealed coded entries, references to subjects, anomalies, and patient zero. Could the Millers have stumbled upon something sinister? Had Lisa been counseling victims or whistleblowers? Back in the neighborhood, neighbors reported more odd incidents. Strange vehicles circling at night, unmarked vans parked near Elm Street, unfamiliar faces lurking just out of sight. A local journalist who tried to dig deeper was warned off with veiled threats. A breakthrough came when a forensic accountant traced mysterious payments from Blackwood Enterprises to accounts connected with local security firms. These firms had contracts with hospitals, schools, and community centers, places the Millers frequented. Had the family been under surveillance for months? Then came an anonymous tip. Look to the inside. Not all threats come from outside. Trust no one. The detectives turned inward, scrutinizing hospital staff, school administrators, even neighbors. One name surfaced repeatedly: Dr. Eric Holloway, a respected hospital administrator and longtime friend of Tom Miller. Holloway had access to all the data Tom was investigating and was known for his tight control over hospital operations. When questioned, Holloway was calm, collected, almost too calm. His alibi for the night of the disappearance was airtight, but Sarah sensed he was hiding something. More surveillance footage surfaced, this time showing a man resembling Holloway entering the Miller house days before they vanished. The footage was grainy, but the figure moved deliberately with purpose. Then the unthinkable happened. 2 members of the investigative team received threats, cryptic messages warning them to back off or face consequences. One detective's car was vandalized. The other's home was broken into, but nothing was stolen, except files related to the Millers. Someone was watching the watchers. Determined to protect the truth, Sarah reached out to an old contact, a cybersecurity expert named Maya Lopez. Maya's specialty was uncovering hidden digital footprints and cracking encrypted networks. Within days, Maya unearthed a trove of encrypted communications between Blackwood executives and unknown collaborators, plans to cover up illegal trials, eliminate whistleblowers, and silence anyone who threatened exposure. But buried deeper was a chilling revelation, a coded list of targets, and the Millers' names were at the top. As Sarah prepared to confront Holloway again, Maya discovered something that froze her blood. Encrypted files showing biological samples taken without consent, human test subjects suffering in undisclosed locations, and a cryptic reference to Project Silence. What was Project Silence? The investigation spiraled. As more secrets surfaced, Sarah's team was met with obstruction, lies, and betrayal. Trusted allies vanished overnight. Evidence was destroyed. Even the surveillance equipment in the Millers' hidden basement room had been hacked and wiped remotely, all traces of their final days erased. And then, the biggest shock yet. In a remote storage facility, an anonymous tip led investigators to a sealed crate. Inside were the bodies of 2 people, badly decomposed but identifiable. The remains were confirmed as the Miller children, Emily and Jake. But no sign of Tom or Lisa. The discovery raised chilling possibilities. Had the parents escaped? Were they still alive, hiding? Or was something even more sinister at play? The case had turned from a mysterious disappearance into a desperate hunt for survival and answers. Sarah stood at the crossroads of truth and danger, knowing the next step could expose the dark heart beating beneath Elm Street, or silence her forever. The discovery of Emily and Jake's bodies shattered the fragile hope that Tom and Lisa might still be alive. The small town was thrust into mourning. For lives lost, their fate finally partially uncovered, but still veiled in chilling darkness. Detective Sarah Caldwell knew the hardest part was yet to come. Unraveling who had the power and ruthlessness to execute such a silent, precise crime. The investigation intensified. Maya Lopez's cyberforensics uncovered a critical break, a series of encrypted messages pinpointing exact locations and times when the Millers were under surveillance, all traced back to Blackwood Enterprises' internal network. But the network also revealed something more, orders issued from a higher authority within the hospital itself. Sarah confronted Dr. Eric Holloway once again. This time, with the evidence undeniable, Holloway's calm facade cracked. Under relentless questioning, he confessed, but only in part. Holloway revealed that Blackwood Enterprises had partnered with corrupt officials and rogue medical personnel to conduct illegal human trials, exploiting vulnerable patients and families under the guise of medical research. Tom Miller had discovered discrepancies and threatened to expose the operation. Holloway, fearful of losing everything, orchestrated the family's disappearance to silence Tom and cover the tracks. But Holloway claimed he had no direct hand in the killings of the children, only in detaining the family temporarily. That confession led the police to an abandoned research facility on the outskirts of town. Inside, investigators found a hidden lab, evidence of Project Silence. Files, vials, cages, and chillingly, the remains of a few other victims. More disturbingly, Lisa Miller's journal was found. It described desperate attempts to protect her children, coded warnings about Holloway and others involved, and a plan to escape. But the most damning evidence was a security footage recovered from a forgotten backup server. A grainy video capturing 2 men entering the lab on the night the Millers vanished. Holloway and a man never before identified, masked and silent. The silent figure moved with chilling efficiency, injecting the children with a sedative and later administering lethal doses, executing the killings without a trace. Detectives widened their search and soon arrested Dr. Marcus Wells, the hospital's chief of security, long trusted and overlooked. Wells was the silent killer, a man driven not only by loyalty to Blackwood but by his own dark obsession with control and silence. In custody, Wells was cold, unrepentant. He described silencing the problem as necessary for the greater good of scientific progress and profit. The town recoiled in horror. As Holloway and Wells faced trial, buried secrets emerged. Bribed officials, falsified medical reports, victims erased from records. The community wrestled with the betrayal, their trust shattered by those they once respected. In court, Lisa's journal and Tom's encrypted files became evidence, a testament to the Millers' bravery. The jury found Holloway and Wells guilty of conspiracy, kidnapping, and murder. But even as justice was served, lingering questions remained. How many other silent killings had gone unnoticed? How many lives lost to greed and cold ambition? In the aftermath, Sarah visited the now-empty Miller home one last time. The silence inside was profound, but the memory of a family who fought to protect truth against overwhelming darkness lingered on. If this chilling story of the silent killing gripped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, where the darkest secrets and shocking truths come to light. Have thoughts or theories about the case? Drop them in the comments below. We want to hear your take. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel where real mysteries unfold with every story. Stay curious, stay vigilant,